All right, Thorn Within, written by Hetfield, Ulrich, and Hammett. I always get curious who's responsible for what riffs, especially in the Load era, because there's not really that much going on in the riff department. You know, these are kind of the more bluesy, pulpy songs. So it's interesting for me to think about James and Lars pouring through riff tapes for this. Like, what was Kirk's riff? Or was he the main guy? There really aren't other riffs in the song. You got... So anyway, working title was NC-17. Obviously, a lot of these songs are, much of them, written and recorded before there's any lyrical content. There is a cool thing we're going to listen to from the box set called Guilty, and it's James trying out like vocal ideas, and he actually has a lot of it put together, and the lyrics are a little different, and I think revealing. By the way, we're going to get into the lyrics because this song has pretty fascinating lyrics. It's actually a pretty dark and deep song, and this is one of the ones they've never played live. They've never played it live, and that's a shame and a bummer, especially because at that time it would have been cool to hear them with that specific power that they had then to play that one live. But they didn't. So, all right, as usual, we're going to listen to the Load box set stuff. I've gone through them so that you don't have to. All this stuff is streaming if it's interesting to you. And then, of course, it's fun to get out and play within the box set as well. These are on the Shadowcast CDs. So the first thing we have is titled NC-17 Thorn Within Riff. And this is from the band's collection of undated riff tapes, which is, you know, I want to hear the riff tapes because I feel like you could really piece together, you know, whose riff belongs to who when it comes to James and Kirk. We know that Jason has co-writes on Where the Wild Things Are. Yeah, I would be curious to hear a release of just the riff tapes. But here's what you're going to hear in this one. This is James talking about the riff. It's that chorus descending riff. And he says something interesting. It's pretty cool that you can hear him working out this idea of he does the riff two very slightly different ways, but it has a pretty big impact. You'll hear him talk about that at the end. So here's NC-17 Thorn Within Riff. All right, then they fade it out. So he says that there's two descending notes in the riff, and that one, he said, was almost too Sabbathy. So what he's doing, first of all, one thing to note is this must have been sometime in '94 because anytime you hear these undated riff tapes, they're not down half a step. So when he was just playing that just now, it was in G instead of F sharp where it is. I'm down half a step. I'm in the Load tuning. I'm going to be here, but I'm going to show you what he's talking about. So the main riff. He's chromatically walking down. He's hitting that low F sharp, and then he's going. And that's the riff that made the record. But what he's alternatively doing is he's doing C sharp, C, B, but then he's jumping the B flat, and he's going from A to G sharp. So he's going. Which is a little less mean. Versus. I don't know if you can hear that difference. So I think James did end up going with the more Sabbathy one, which I think was the better one. All right, up next we have the Thorn Within Riff 2. Also from the band's collection of undated riff tapes. Now, what's interesting about this is a riff that was never used. Check this out.
All right, we're on.
So that was kind of just a variation of the main riff. Yeah, I mean, what that sounds like to me is he's got the main riff, what would end up being the chorus riff, and then he thought maybe a variation of that riff we can use for the verses, which is pretty cool. That that's what they did on King Nothing. That's what they kind of do on Sabbath True. It's an interesting tool and technique because it's familiar. It catches your ear. You're reinforcing a theme. The best songs reinforce themes, dude. Check out. I always think about this when I think about Jeff Lynne. That song, "Don't Bring Me Down." He sings that about 30,000 times on that song, and even the guitar's going bow, 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 bow. Just everything in that song is funneling all the hooks and melodies into that theme. Now, having said that, they didn't use that riff for the verse because they ended up with which I think was a good move. All right, so moving on, and these tend to have the similar progressions in terms of the timeline of them getting written and fleshed out. They usually start with these riff tapes, which we know how they write these songs. We know it's documented. Then the boys, by the boys, I mean just James and Lars, make a demo in Lars's basement studio, the dungeon, where James is playing the bass, all the panned guitars, and usually all the solos. And there are usually no lyrics at this point. They are the dummy lyrics. And I got to say, that is a tough thing about listening to these sometimes, is because just hearing him be like, yeah, just sing yeah, yeah, yeah and shit and humming it, it just can get kind of hard to listen to other than it the first time when it's like a curiosity. But that's what we have here. This is what's next. NC-17, Thorn Within demo. This was recorded in the dungeon January 26th, 1995. So let's check this out. We'll talk about it. You can already hear that the guitars have the vibe. Very cool part. All right, let's talk about that riff. Let's break that riff down. So we start with James, and he's rocking it. And then I love how this builds like a kind of a 3-act story. You got that first guy. Then Kirk's contributions is he goes, James does that thing, but then Kirk goes, and he lets that sit. And see, he's not even playing the full phrase. We know the full phrase, but Kirk's just going. Then James starts doing it over Kirk, and James is the one finishing the phrase. And one of the things I love about them going kind of Stonesy with the way that they pan in the 90s is when you do those two things together, the phrase that I use in the studio a lot is the guitars are talking to each other. Does that make sense? They're in communication because they're not saying the same thing. And the tone's different. Famously, until this era, James would record all the rhythms. And I think he did record quote unquote Kirk's rhythm with Kirk's gear. So kind of some of it has Kirk's sound. But really, this is like a homogeny to those records that I love. I mean, that's part of it. Maybe not so much on Kill 'Em All, but I'm thinking more about Puppets, Justice, Black Album. There's a lot of homogeny on the rhythm parts. What I love so much about the Load era is how different and slinky these two parts feel together. Now, I did what I always do. I went and got the stems, and I recorded, this is just me, and I think Lars and Jason. And listen for those interplays in these guitars. You got James on the left, Kirk on the right. Here, Kirk. Now James. But James is finishing the phrase. Listen. Then they come in beautifully. Chorus riff. Oh, went a little too far there. So there you go. Let's go back to the demo here, because the demo's got some other cool stuff in it. All right, into verse 1. He's already got those harmonies intact. Alice in Chains kind of vibe. Yeah. Back into that halftime. Also, this turnaround is doubled. It's twice as long. So you can see these parts of the demo where they started to cut, edit. Big hallmark of this era. That's one thing to listen to right there. Let's just talk about the verse. So James's part. Actually, I believe it's James doing both of these. Okay, so I think they just muted Kirk for that. But the heavy part. I love that. The clean part, I have kind of mocked up here. Same as I did for Wasting My Hate. I just have the neck pickup and the volume turned down. I love that part. And for the back half, he starts doing these octaves. All right, this is me playing the verse with the band, no vocals. So it's got that kind of flange on it. Listen. And there's none of the heavy guitar. There's the heavy guitar. All right, now you're going to notice the octaves. into the chorus. Very cool. Back to the demo. This is verse 2. Interesting stuff coming up with a solo. Looking for that pick and stuff in the right channel. This part's twice as long as well before he goes into the bridge. And no dummy lyrics for the bridge yet. This is the bridge. Check this solo out. The solo is 2.5 times as long as the record. This is normally where it ends, but it keeps going. All right, now it keeps going over the chorus chords. Woo! Get him, James. How about that? Right into verse 3. Choruses are all also a little shorter than the album. All right, so check this out. We got some double kick coming up. This outro gets pretty heavy. The double kick. Interesting. That does not end up in the actual recording. Also, this thing, listen to this. Does it remind you of Escape? Live my own way. Is this like the outro to Escape? Life's for my own, live my own way. That's what it makes me think of every time. So there's a demo. That's what they took to Bob Rock. That's what they took to Jason Newkid and Kirk Hamster. And up next, we have the Take 18. This is following the trajectory we usually follow. So this would have been recorded July 27th, 1995. This is 6 months later. They're in the studio with the boys. They're getting everything into shape. This is the 18th time that they played it that day. That fateful day, July 27th. So this is when you sort of hear the personality of the band come through. There's some interesting things that happen in this recording, and we will listen to it together now. See, what I like about these, like, rehearsal takes is they start to sound real good. Because Bob Rock does not fuck around. Love Jason and Lars hitting those low kicks together. Uh-oh. Whoopsie. Looking for that clean stuff. Pretty cool. All right, we're going to go to the solo because the solo is interesting. It's longer than the last version we heard. It's 3 times as long as the record version. And it's old Kirk Hammett giving the solo a try. So let's check this out. Here comes Kirk Hammett's solo. This part's cool. Okay. I think we're getting a sense of maybe why they went back to the old demo solo, which I think the demo solo is really cool. I think it's got a great vibe. I like it a lot. And they were right to do that. It does sound like James is playing a Strat. In the video I made, the guitar cover I made, I'm playing one of my Strats, but with the EMGs in it to try to get it close to that Stratty thing, but it's also very punchy. All right, next, there's 2 more here. This one is called the Thorn Within Guilty Vocal Idea. So I don't know if at one point they also were going to call the song Guilty, but this is where we can kind of hear James wrestling with the themes of the song. And this is exciting to me because he's got the idea now, the idea of the song. Some pretty interesting changes too. You're going to recognize most of it, but there are bits and pieces of it that are kind of strange that I am glad that they evolved. So basically, it's from the same day that they recorded it. I don't know if it's take 18, but the music is from The Floor in July. Very similar to what we just heard, if not the exact one we just heard. Or it might just be the drums we heard with a different pass of the bass or whatever. But not keepable necessarily. And then vocal ideas were added by James in October of 95. So by the fall, whatever's going on with the band, James has probably already worked up all the lyrics and now he's trying to get all these ideas down. So let's check this out. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit to when he starts singing. Here we go.
Forgive me, Father.
They're dry as a bone. But listen, he's already got the harmonies.
Find me guilty of the things I feel within.
He just said things instead of life.
Should you brand me for wild or tame? Should I look down in shame or straight ahead and take all of your blame?
All right, so let's focus on what he changed there. Or, what was different, what he started with. So he just said, should you brand me for wild or tame? Should I look down in shame or straight ahead and take all of your blame? Compare that with what ended up on the record when he says, "When I'm branded this mark of shame, should I look down disgraced or straight ahead and take all of your blame?" So he obviously, we've seen how he writes, where he'll put all the words up in a column, the potential rhyming schemes, soft rhymes, hard rhymes. And then he likes to put pen to paper and kind of toy with all the concepts. I think what he ended up putting on the record is stronger. And then we'll notice in the chorus, the actual chorus, he says, "I'm the secret, I am the sin, I am the guilty, I am the thorn within." This one, he says, "I'm the wicked, I'm the one, I am the guilty, I am the guilty for everyone." Check this out.
I am the wicked. I am the one.
Wow.
I am the guilty. I am guilty for everyone.
Interesting, right? Still a twice as long turnaround in between chorus 1 and verse 2. They would cut that in half, which was a good call. All right, we got another "Forgive Me, Father."
Forgive me, Father, for I am sin.
He says, "Am I guilty?"
Am I guilty when true guilt is from within?
Instead of "Find me guilty."
So point your finger, point right at me.
This stayed.
For I'm the shadow that will follow you, one and the same always. I am the wicked. I am the one. I am the guilty.
All right, check this out.
I am guilty as a rising sun.
Guilty as the rising sun. I think we can all agree that those changes were better. That one also has another Kirk, so that's why I think it was from the same day, but maybe a different take, because it's another kind of not great. I think Kirk would have figured it out, but I think he was having a hard time kind of figuring out how to be. I think what was happening with him, I mean, the dude can write and play solos. The problem was, I think he was having trouble making them unique. You've got a batch of 25 to 30 songs. He's trying to just do something and stretch and find unique stuff. But at some point, it was probably Bob Rock, I bet you, was like, I think James's vibe on the solo was cool. So the next thing that we hear is the NC-17 Thorn Within scratch vocal rough, which, by the way, we already mentioned the solo. Let's just do the solo real quick. Kirk was trying too hard. He's having trouble with it. What James said was fine. Here it is, me and the band solo. All right, and there you go. So the last thing we have is the Thorn Within scratch vocal mix recorded January 17th, 1996. I have notes. You got the normal clean guitar that we've been waiting to hear. Slightly different vocal take, but the lyrics are fine. There's no tuning. It's pretty rough in some parts. And then they've got James's solo back in there. You can go listen to that if you want to at home. But I don't know if we need to listen to that. So, that's it. That's Thorn Within. A deep cut, but I think a super rewarding song. It has everything that I like about Load, the interplay between the two guitars. It's short and sweet. The very Alice in Chainsy sort of dark harmonies, very inward, esoteric lyrics about himself. I mean, I think he's still writing Halo on Fire later, and he wrote Hell and Back. I think those would be similar things he's dealing with in Thorn Within. But I just think that there's something great about this. Wherever he was aesthetically and poetically, he was listening to a lot of Lou Reed and Tom Waits and Nick Cave. And I think those things were influencing his lyrics. He even talks about around the Black Album era, he was getting into Chris Isaak, and that informed even how he sang The Unforgiven. So a lot of the things that I love about it are in this song, just like the album cover. The little bit of blood, a little bit of semen, I hate to say, but there's life in there. It's messy. It's necessary. Little bovine DNA mixed in with it. Smash them between some plexiglass. Call it art, baby. Even if that makes you a sick motherfucker.